Okay, so the first thing with the instructions here, it's a little bit problematic. Fortunately, it's a tiny little thing. The part number for the countersunk screws that you will be using is actually incorrect in one of the locations on the instruction sheet for step number 8 here. In one place they say AXA 466. In one place they say AXA 446. Which is it? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Fortunately, in bag C there are only 2 countersunk self-tapping screws, and yes, they are self-tappers again, but not that big of a deal there, because here they are. For the rear, we get this camber link mounting plate. Looks like I've got one side that has parts that stick out a little bit and one side that doesn't. Looks like the parts that stick out actually face towards you, which is towards the rear of the vehicle. And those are all going to get secured down with 12 millimeter self-tapping button head screws. Take care not to over tighten these. This is simple. Bearing and bearing, rear hub carrier. Bearing and bearing, opposite rear hub carrier. As far as I can tell, the rear arms are completely symmetrical left to right. So it doesn't seem to matter which you put on which side. That's a convenient thing. However, the way that you attach these shock mounts is different because they're only going to attach from one side. Well, that's how that goes in there. Do that again. This actually goes inside, in between these, in the webbing, like that. Truth be told, I find it just a little bit comical that they're doing the racing thing here with two 2mm spacers in there to allow you to fine tune the wheelbase by a total amount of 4mm. Given that this is not a racing vehicle in any way, that just doesn't seem all that necessary, but they offered it up, so I'll take it. Captured pin, dude. Yeah, you're going nowhere. All right, this brings us to step number 11, which is the second step that requires the following of the alternate directions. Looks like this time we use the offset ones first in the front. So here in the front, this is what you actually use for adjusting toe. So you can see that the hole is off to one side here, and it's actually going to come in from the back, and it looks like they got the more toed in position specified to begin with. One part of the instructions does not show it correctly. It shows both of these using the middle hole ones, but if you look carefully in the actual exploded view, it shows them using these two offset ones like so, and then the front ones that way. The R1 is going to use from this parts tree that has the assault rifle on it. It's going to use the number 2s. These are the ones with the bushings with the centered holes on them. Incidentally, they do give you the plastic versions of these, but who would want to use plastic hinge pin blocks and braces when you have aluminum ones included in the kit? I'm not a big fan of hopping stuff up with aluminum for no reason, but this is aluminum for a reason, for a very good reason. Actually, my mistake on the diagram being inconsistent. If you look at this version, the extra insert version, it does show the proper orientation for those bushings. I was going back and forth looking between this and the actual manual, but this is all correct here. All right, time to capture these captured pins. They're little lock nut at the other end. Wait a minute. So remember when I said that this was all right? Yeah, scratch that. I was wondering why the bushings didn't quite seem to go in right on this one. They show you needing to have the R1 designation facing the same direction as the R2 designation on the other. That does not appear to be right. That feels more like it. Yeah, face them apart from each other. So the R1 faces towards the front, like so. I think this is going to work better, and it makes a lot more sense, because if you look at it from the side, you are now looking at it from the right side. Your pin is going to be angled down like this. It's because it actually has a little bit of anti-squat angle, so this makes sense. But again, the instructions did not. The instructions lied to you. You lied to me. And to end the refrain, thrust home. Yes. Okay, so you saw what I had to do there, right? Take whatever they do in the instructions with the front one, smack it up, flip it, rub it down. I'd love to see that in an instruction manual sometime, something like that. You know, like, optional, smack it up. Required, flip it. Optional, rub it down. Now, what the frack? Really? Looks like the hardware used here is just a little bit too long. It actually pushed some plastic through. Looks like there might be a little bit of clearance in there, but I think I'm going to have to trim that off just to make myself feel a little bit safer about this thing. That's more comfortable. Don't need to worry about the other side, but this side, that's not cool. So watch out for that when you put in your flipped R1 piece. Make sure that you don't have any binding between the extra plastic material that got pushed through and your diff, your main diff gear. Now I just need to get my links built and everything should be okay. Got both of these guys nice and loose. Bag number 3, yet another gun. Yet another gun. This kit is packing big time. I just hope they're not trying to compensate for some deficiency in the kit with the addition of all these guns. Oh yeah, one of the wheels won't fit, but it's got a bunch of guns. So, yeah. Of course, it helps to put them on the correct side. Although, you know what? Purposes of taking this off and putting it on, don't want to have the screw side inboard towards the inside of the chassis. I'm actually going to flip this around right now. I'm going to leave the camera link on the correct side, the rear. However, I'm going to take this off and flip the bolt so that the nut is towards the inside of the chassis, simply because it's a lot easier to fit one of these in close to a chassis than it is to fit a whole screwdriver. And let me tell you, I absolutely hate having to resort to using these things, you know, getting a little angle in there and then little by little by little. Nah, I want to be able to get my driver, even if it's a hand driver, I want to be able to get it in right from the outside. So that's what this is going to facilitate here. All right, that'll do for now for the rear sub-assembly. These feel plenty loose. That feels, well, it'll all work out in the end, but that is that for now. I like the look of it a lot. This is very, very engineering porny kind of stuff going on right here. Just good aesthetic to it. Don't know anything about how strong it's actually going to be from that, but looks good so far. And let's see, next up I'm going to be putting together a center diff and then actually start touching the main chassis for the very first time. Coming up next.